Brandon Groce. And we are the Game Changers. Designers, creatives alike. We are in a world that runs on value. Our next designs will be the shiniest. Our next animation will be the most buttery. Ladies and gentlemen, Game Changers, let the games begin.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Editor X Live with me, your host, Brandon Groce. Really quick, I do hear myself in the background, so I'm going to mute that. With that said, I want to say thank you again for showing up for day 2 of our live stream of producing some really amazing responsive websites in Editor X. I know we both have some newbies, some old faces, not some old faces, but some regulars, and I just want to say hello to you guys in the chat. I know we have JT, we have Fergie. What is going on, my friends? Glad to have you here as well. And we have been having some challenges on getting live here in Facebook, but I do want to actually make sure that we are live here as well. I do see that we are live and everything is a-okay. So I just want to make sure that if you are on Facebook and you're having issues, please let me know. Comment in or either on the event or in our little class chat. Let me know if you guys are seeing this or not. I'm gonna basically try to see if this will actually work out. I know YouTube peeps are a-okay, but you know, Facebook, we got to figure out. So what's going on, Igor? Glad to see you as well. With that said, let's jump into what we have for day 2 and let's just get a rolling. All right, so let's go ahead and go to my screen. So like we did yesterday, and for those of you just recapping, this is part 2. What we are going to build and really finish today is yesterday we started off on our desktop website just like this. We basically built out the framework, but now what we're going to do today is actually make it so that this design is actually responsive. Okay, so we're able to have our infinite, like, sort of moving icon. I don't know whether to call it an icon or basically we'll call it an asset, but we did this all of yesterday in day 1. So if you want to watch, that link is down in the description. It is very short, 1 hour. We are going to be chopping these things down into a 10 to 15 minute tutorial as well if you want to wait for that next week. But you guys can also have some Q&A in here. We're going to basically do everything, and then towards the end of the tutorial we have some Q&A available. So let's dive into how really what we built yesterday and how we're going to turn this into a responsive masterpiece. So first off, actually I know Igor, Fergie, and you guys are new to Editor X, so I'm really curious to hear what you guys say after this after you guys see what this is capable of. All right, so how we're gonna go ahead and start this. If you guys remember yesterday, we basically made our navigation, which has 3 columns. 1 column for our left menu, 1 column just for our logo, the right column for our right menu. We have a singular section that is divided into 2 parts. We have 2 rows. And if we look at our grids right here, we go to advanced mode. We have 2 rows, 1 and 2. And again, if you guys are like, Brandon, you are speaking gibberish, I have no idea what you just said in the last 5 seconds. It's okay. I literally highly recommend either 1, you watch some of the basic tutorials here on the Editor X YouTube channel, or just ask some of your questions at the end of today's Q&A, or even better, we have a Editor X Discord that we have in the link in the description, where if you guys just stick around today, learn and see how we do some of these things and actually jump into our community, you guys can ask not only me, but the Editor X team and many other people who use Editor X really for some mentoring on how you can build what you're trying to build. So there's a lot of different avenues to learn this stuff. And this is just a live learning session for a little bit more intermediate people of how to produce some amazing things and how to recreate them. So, but we all are also trying to find ways to find beginner moments or beginner content where people who are brand new to Editor X can come, and things like this where a little bit more intermediate people who are a little bit understand some of the nuance and language of Editor X. So feel free to give feedback regardless, it's helpful. So we have our 2 sections, and we have a container up top in our first section cell. And what we have inside of that container are basically 3 rows, or excuse me, 4 rows. 1 for our feel and our line. The second row contains our star content and power. And the next line contains another line of and design. And basically what we decided to do is, because this content, especially if we go back to how this is supposed to be, right? This is a lot of content that needs to morph and needs to basically stretch, get pulled, and basically stay in the same place. So what we decided to do, again, this is just a recap, is we made, out of all these 4 rows, out of the 3, we made containers and made 3 rows within each, one hosting one particular piece of content. So the has its own row or column, the star has its own column, power has its own column, and they're all set to maxed column or max content, basically saying, hey, container and grid cell, please look at what's inside of you and dictate what your width is based on what's inside of it. And that's also what I love about EditorX. You do not have to do a lot of math. You basically can set things to either auto or max content, and EditorX will understand what is within its container and constrict itself to whatever asset, element, what have you, in its actual container. I'm looking over at the live chat. Hello, Alicia, what's going on? Glad to have you here in the live learning session. So that's one thing I just want to reiterate. It's very important, especially with content like this, that we are making sure all of the elements that we are trying to make responsive, we make it easy for the program to basically respond. So for example, and I'm not going to be able to do all of this right now, but if, for example, if we start going to, mobile and tablet, nothing really happens, right? But what does happen is that we see that regardless of whatever size of device we're on, the structure of what we've built stays the same. Now, all we have to do is when we go to different device sizes is say, give those different elements different properties, give them different percentages in which to scale and things of that nature, which is really easy to do. So I know there's going to be a lot of questions on that. Again, join the Discord. We will go over very specific questions that you guys have. But today's session is just to get this to the end line, or basically show you guys some new things if you're brand new, show you guys what is possible. And then on the back end, if you guys have questions, you guys can ask it there or join our Discord for even more awesome events and or Q&A, specific questions you have. All right. So what I'm going to go ahead and start doing, I'm going to go ahead and, oh, and by the way, just to show you guys the animations that we are going to finish off the project with today, this is our initial animation that we're going to be doing. Muhammad, what is going on? Glad to see you. All right, so first things first, we are going to go to my tablet version right here, and we're just gonna go ahead and start working on our menu here. Obviously, we can see that our navigation truncated, basically got smushed, and now all we see is more. All we have to do to fix that is go to and really select our menus here, and making sure I'm selecting my menus by making sure I'm selecting correct layer. I'm going to go to my section, which is really just the header. And by the way, if you guys are wondering why my why my layers are named like this, is because we have dev mode on and we are displaying the dev IDs. So I'm going to turn this off really quickly so I get some designer English in here. All right. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go into and select my menu here. I'm going to call this menu right. I'm going to pull this out. There we go. So we have space for our content to breathe. And I'm going to actually do the same over here as well. But as you guys can see, there is another menu that has popped in here, which is our hamburger menu. And I actually don't want this. So I'm going to select it here and just go to don't display. Now what I'm going to do here is same thing that we did on the right, we're going to do to left. First off, I do want to actually name this. We're going to name this left menu. And we're just going to drag it out so that we see both words. And if I really want to be a little bit more specific in terms of the width that I want for these pieces of, for our menus, I can go over into our inspector after selecting our menu, and I can actually dictate the width of these elements. So right now we're looking at a 77% width. And what I want to do is, for right now, we're just going to stick with this. We're going to stick with both the left and the right menus to 77%. And what that means is this grid cell that we have our menu in, the right one, it is taking up 77% of that grid cell, if that makes sense. Same thing with our left. Now, what I want us to do here is we're going to start working on this stuff. Actually, it's, you know, for the tablet, it's pretty fine, but I do want to add a little bit more space from this between our container and our nav here. So I'm going to select my container. I'm going to scroll down in the inspector panel. I'm going to scroll down to margins, and rather than 2%, I'm going to select or type in 5%. So we get basically 5% spacing between. Oh, I also want to dock this. So basically what I want to tell EditorX is say, hey, this container, please make a separation of either a certain percentage or a certain pixel width between the top of this section and this container. So this section, and sadly I can't show you, you can see it a little bit, but I know it's really tiny on your guys' screens. There is this dotted line that is going from the top of the container to the very top of the section, which is basically what the docking is. You'll see that if I dock to the right, I get that same line over here, and it goes from that edge, that right edge of our container, all the way over to the right edge of this section. But we're just doing it to the top. And so we're just saying, hey, make sure that there are 40 pixels from the top of this section to the very top of this container, just giving us some space. From here, all I really need to do is just want to add a little bit more space between the top of this image and the top of this section grid cell. Right now we have a 2% margin padding, very small, so I'm going to do 5% here, press enter. And again, one thing I do want to change here is that we have the docking to the bottom. I don't necessarily want that. I want the docking just like we did with our container up here. I want to do it to our photo here. So we're going to dock it to the top, and we want a 5% margin from the top of this image to the top of this grid cell. And you know what, maybe we'll do a little bit more. Maybe we'll do 8. And what I could do, let's say if I wanted to actually do pixels, it's great because I don't actually have to do the math. I just go to this percentage right here, click, go to pixels, and now it converts whatever that percentage was into pixels. And let me see, Alicia, I'm looking at the live chat really quick. Alicia's asking, I tried to post a question on Discord with a short vid explaining everything, but I couldn't because the file was bigger than 8 megabytes and did that previously, don't want to upgrade to Nitro. So Alicia, the easiest way to ask questions in Discord is using a screen record. So on desktop, if you're using that, I use screenrec.com, and actually instead of sending files, you send a link of whatever you recorded. It gets uploaded to the cloud, and you can send that into the Discord because it's a link rather than an actual video that's a little bit larger. So try that out, or what you could do is record your video, upload it to Dropbox, send that to us in Discord, and we'll be able to answer your question. All right, so we pretty much have tablet down. Now we are going to have to do some testing on things. For example, what I like to do is I like to start on desktop like we did yesterday. Again, if you want to rewatch that, link in the description. Tablet looks good. We're going to do mobile. Make sure some things at least shrink to what we want, but then we're going to have to do some troubleshooting to make sure that everything, as the screen size actually gets stretched, it looks good, and then we'll add some animation. So I'm going to click over to my mobile here. As you can see, there's a lot more work that needs to have happened here. First off, what I want to do for us is I actually want to move these menu pieces. We don't need these anymore. There's not enough space for them anymore, so I'm going to click on them. I can either right click them and hit don't display. And I actually think I did a don't display to another menu that was hidden. So I'm gonna do it in my layers panel here, so I'm a little bit more accurate. So we'll start with the right one, right click, don't display. Left one, right click, don't display. So we're gonna go back to my hamburger menu that we hid earlier. We have a little bit of we didn't display it on tablet, so we need to unhide it now. So I'm just gonna click this. We have our menu here. I can very easily keep it over here on the left side of things, Or if I go into our inspector, I can go and put it in any one of these columns very easily, just like this. All right, Alicia, looks good. I'm glad that that advice helps. I think if everybody knew that they could do that in Discord, it would be tremendously helpful. All right, up next, what we're going to go ahead and do is we need to make this actually fit within mobile. So how we're going to do this is where a little bit of troubleshooting comes in, is I want to remove the minimum width of this container. It looks like right now, if we look at my inspector, when I've selected it, the minimum width is going to 471 pixels. I don't want any of that. I'm going to set that to none so that the max content sticks with, or the width of the container sticks with max content, which basically looks at everything in here and says, what is the proper size me as a container needs to be to fill all of this, to make space for this content. So now with that, all we need to do is edit the contents within and the container will adjust. So to do that, we're just gonna start making our assets a little bit smaller, so, and really scalable. So with the text right now, all of our text is 88 pixels. And what we're gonna go ahead and do is we are going to scale our text just like this. And what that does, it basically sets two parameters, right? The first parameter is how small do you want your font pretty much at any time. And we're just gonna set this to 50. The biggest we want this is maybe 80 or maybe 88. Oop, not 800. Let's not do that. Let's do 88. No, 88, not 808. There we go. Okay, so boom. Next thing, our line. We'll take care of that in a second. But first, what I want to do is I want to make sure we are centering this feel here. One of the things I want to do is I do not want to dock this to the top. I only want to dock it to the left, because when we start scaling things, what the feel will do is try to stay, as we kind of see it already, is trying to stay in that top left corner of the container it's in. We want it to be just centered, just like this. And so now what we're going to do is we have that size nicely for feel. I think it looks pretty nice and fits with the actual size. And we're going to do that to all of our text here. So we're just going to go and edit, scale text. We're going to set to 50 and then 88. And we're just going to go to the next one. Scale 50 and 88. And again, 50 and 88. And one more time. 50 and 88. All right. So we're looking good on our font size. Now we're going to scale some of our other assets like our star. We're just going to make it a little bit smaller. And as you guys can see, I made the star a little bit smaller, and the containers that it's within are starting to move a little bit. We're going to move our line here. We're going to pull this in and make it a little bit smaller. The container kind of conforms. And I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to make this line just a little bit smaller, just like this. A little bit more. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go into each one of these rows. I'm going to make sure that all of our content is aligned horizontally. And also I want the containers height-wise to actually constrict to the full or the maximum content height that this content is within. I know I'm using a lot of words, but you guys will see exactly what I'm doing. So as you can see, just for example, the container for this field or the text box for this field is the exact same size the width of the field is. We want essentially the container that is holding both field and this line to be the exact height of essentially what this field is. So I'm going to select this container, change grid layout, go to advanced. And just like we have here, we have max content, max content. These are very nicely hugging the content within it. This one isn't hugging because we have a little bit of margin in there. We have about 20 pixels. But I want to go to my row setting here, and instead of min-max, I want to go to max content. So now we get a nice little squish here. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. So we're going to do that to all of this content here. We're just going to make sure we align all of this horizontally. Horizontal. I'm gonna horizontal and align my star here. Very nice. And power here, I'm also going to pull horizontally. Oh God, I'm sorry about that on YouTube. I really need to figure out how we can hide this spamming from the chat. Igor is asking from the live chat, can we just select full section and scale in percentage, not one by one element? So that's a really good question, Igor. So you can, there are certain elements in which you only will need to select one time and apply a percentage to all of those things. Text is a little iffy as of right now, where sadly you cannot apply a scaling text to a, for example, let me just show you this. I have each one of these text elements hooked up to a particular theme, right? It's called heading 1. They all should be 88 pixels. And if I change one of those, or if I change the theme will change pretty much any asset that is under that theme. So if I change this heading 1 to 60 pixels and let's say red, that will change all heading 1s on my website that has that theme to exactly what I change it to. However, those themes do not take into consideration scaling text as of right now. So sadly, that's how it, we kind of had to do it for right now. But that was a really good question. All right, I'm gonna do kind of the same thing here. I'm gonna center align everything here as well. Again, using my alignment tools, just like in any design program. We're gonna go into this container, change grid layout, advanced mode. I'm gonna go to my row settings right here. Right now it's just set to 124 pixels of height. We don't care about that. We're gonna click to row height here, go from min-max to max content, hit done. I'm gonna do the same thing here, grid change layout, advanced mode, go to the row height, and max content. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit of a nice reduction in our size. Pretty much for everything is looking a little bit better, but now I wanna add, we lost some of the spacing in this middle row here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some back within this star. So we're gonna add some margin. We're gonna click the star, go back to our inspector, and we are gonna go scroll down and go into our margins. I'm gonna do 20 pixels on the left and 20 pixels on the right. It might be a little bit too much for tablet, so maybe we'll go to 10 and we'll go to 10. All right. So we're looking pretty good. Everything is readable, it's scalable, we're good to go. Andre's saying, glad to hear the future is here on the way to get matched. I'm sorry, Andre. I believe I deleted all those things, so I apologize. Oh, Andre says it's great live. All right, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Okay, and with this said, I think pretty much we're good here. What we want to do here, I think, is pretty fine as well. I think maybe what I want to do is maybe shorten up this bottom section here. Maybe we don't want it as tall. So I'm actually gonna pull this up manually. I can actually take my cursor to the bottom of the screen here and actually manually pull either up or down the size that I want this section. Now, what I could also do is I can also scale this as well. I can scale, you know what I'm gonna go ahead and do is go to my layers very quickly, make sure I'm scaling the correct thing here. I'm gonna select my container that is hosting all of these things. I'm gonna scale my circle first. So I'm gonna set this, the width is 200. Let's see if we do 120. Okay. I'm going to select my arrow here. I'm also gonna scale this down to maybe 25 in terms of width. It's looking pretty good. And now what we can see is, again, the content that we have here, it's not necessarily readable. We might wanna, we can totally change that. We can basically pull and contrast once we feel it looks right, you know, like we can keep messing with the width. But what I wanna do is this container here, what I want to do is, instead of the minimum width, again, we don't want to have a minimum width. We're going to set this to none so that the width actually takes the form of what is inside of it. So when I actually set this to none, that container just smashes to the actual width of that circle and the arrow. Really quick, I'm taking a peek at the live chat. Alicia says, when you change the heading style, does it make changes to this particular website or all of your websites that you used this style for? Alicia, that's a great question. The style themes that we're using for this literally is a asset library. So if I change that asset library, and everybody, for example, the link to the asset library is in the description as well. Anybody who is using that library for their website, and that could be like 5 different people, if I change that style, that will change to every single person using the style for their website and for everything that I change on my website as well. It's super powerful. You can kind of think of it as components almost. Styles and components. Lakesh is asking, hey, what's going on? Isn't there any UI design or just doing right away? So Lakesh, what we're doing today is we're just putting together, the UI design has already been done. We are taking those assets and producing the actual live website, which is this. This is a nice, responsive, animated website that we, on day one, oh, what's going on here? Let me refresh here. Oh, what happened? That's interesting. Hold on one second. Let's take a look at what happened here. And it might be because I'm streaming as well. Let's see. Let's pop this open here. Nope. I wonder what happened. Troubleshooting really quick, guys. Let's see what's going on here. But yes, today we're essentially just putting the puzzle pieces together to make the actual responsive website that is living, not just designing. And if you are interested in, okay, here we go. This is preview. Let's see. I wonder why all this stuff, there we go. Okay. I wonder why it's hiding on the actual published site. But this is the animation, everything that we're trying to build today for the responsive website. But if you are interested in actually designing and pressing a button and having everything that you've designed really upload to EditorX, there is a EditorX Figma plugin where you can design really your mobile, tablet, desktop version of your site, hit a button, and all of that gets uploaded to Figma, and you just have to deal with the responsive behaviors that you want to do for your website, changing percentages and things like that. But it's a very smooth landing from Figma to EditorX, if that's something you want to try. Okay, so we're in a good spot here. We've done desktop, we've done mobile, and we have done tablet. But now what we need to do is start playing around with, actually, we're in really good shape. So right now what I'm doing is I'm gonna close both my layers panel and my inspector. And I'm gonna see, basically what I'm checking is to see how this responds. And we're looking pretty good. The one thing that I do want to actually change, if we take a look at this, is I don't like this. There should never be a moment in, there should never be a moment when a breakpoint hits and we see just more. That's not what we want. So we're gonna go ahead and fix that just by, we're gonna go to, this happens. Let's first see at what pixel width of the device this happens. It's around like 1070 pixels. We're gonna go back to desktop. And what we're gonna do is we're actually, instead of a percentage here, maybe we'll actually switch this to pixels for now. We're gonna set this to 329 pixels so it stays that consistent width. And we're gonna try this over here as well. And we're gonna make sure that this is set to pixels. Okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and see how this behaves. Okay, boom, nice, there we go. So now you guys see that essentially instead of doing percentages, I set to pixels to keep a consistent width of my menus here. And from this, I also don't necessarily like how small this is getting, so I might change the behaviors on this in the inspector panel. Let's see what else. Because everything pretty much looks good to me here. Okay, but let's go ahead and fix this. This is a little too small for my liking. So I'm going to click this, go back to my desktop here, and we are going to, again, we might want to switch this from the actual percentage. Let's go ahead and set this to pixels. And let's go ahead and see what happens as we scale. That's much better. All right. So next thing what we are going to do is we're going to start getting to our animations, ladies and gentlemen. So what we're going to go ahead and do is first, what we have to, how I'm going to do this. And actually I'm going to see if, yeah, for whatever reason, this is not publishing any longer. Let me see. Let me go ahead and publish this. This was the project that we originally made. Let's see if this fixes anything. That is entirely odd. I wonder if it is because, let's see something here. Go to my, yeah, I have not had that problem thus far, but it's okay. We're about to remake it and it will totally be fine. So let's push this off to the side. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to take this container and I'm going to click this animation here, or this animation button, and I get all of these different presets here. What we're going to use in particular for this website here is float in, and we can customize it and we can basically say which direction we want, from the top, from the right, from the bottom, from the left. Right now we are going to pick from, let's see, we kind of want to do like a little bit of an alternating action here, and I can test play this. So I do want to do from the left. I do not want a delay just yet. We're going to go to the next container here. Boom, change, not change grid layout. We're going to go to our animation button. We're going to do a float in. I believe we're going to keep this from the right. We're going to do this a delay by 0.2 so that the top one comes in, and the second one, and then the third one is going to come in a little bit delayed. Container 3, animation, float in. We're going to do from the left this time, and 0.4. There we go. And right here, we already have a little bit of an animation on it. I'm going to take it off for right now so you guys can see how to make a hover interaction. And some of you guys do have access to hover interactions, some don't. So let's go ahead and check this out. What I want to do is I have two things on it. And actually, we'll leave the hover interaction for last. I want to show you guys how to do the, we'll stick with all the simple animations, and then for, I think, some of the beta features we'll touch on last. So again, because I pulled this button from our asset library, and by the way, again, this is down in the description, and basically all you have to do, if you already have an EditorX account, all you have to do is click the link. It will add the library directly to your EditorX account, and you can find that in your, as soon as you open any site. If you go to your plus or add elements and you go to assets, underneath your assets and libraries, you should have, if you're using this this asset library, you will see the DC002 interior design, and you click that and you'll see all of the assets that we have: the buttons, the basically our wheel, our star, our arrow, our image, and essentially you can just drag this stuff out onto your screen. You see how we do all of that in day one. Again, link in the description if you want to rewatch that. Okay, so all we've done with the button is we've gone to animated, we've gone to float in, and I believe we've done from the bottom with a delay of 2. But I kind of want to set this to 0.6 for right now. I want to play with that a little bit. In our image, we're going to do the same thing. Animate, float in. We're going to do customize from the bottom. And I do want to set this to not 0.6, I'm going to do 0.8. Okay. And for our container over here, I'm going to go to my layers. I'm going to select this whole container, animate, and let's see if we can find a rotate in. got a little spin in there. It is a little bit too spinny for me. So let's see if we can find... Honestly... Oh, what is that one? Let's go ahead and try this. Let's go ahead and customize. Let's play it, see what it looks like. Turn in from the right. Duration. Maybe we'll shorten this. Maybe we'll do like a 0.3 sort of animation. And you can also add delays like I showed you guys before. All right, so let's go ahead and preview this. See what this looks like. All right, unedit. Let's go back to preview. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and publish this, and because I'm seeing like all of you guys, there's a little bit of like a skip step, and I wonder what that is. So let's go ahead and publish this really quick. Let's call this live test 02. And let's go ahead and go to that site as soon as it publishes, and let's see kind of what's going on here. I wonder, hold on. That is very odd. I wonder if, let me go ahead and turn off dev mode really quick, see if that is a issue here. Because this was not at all an issue before I went live today. Everything was working just fine. All right, let's go ahead and publish. Let's see. Yeah, that is no bueno, like at all. Let me see. What could we have done? Preview's looking fine. The responsive of the preview is looking fine. But where is our published website? Okay. I wonder if, you know what, let me see this. Let me go to edit site. Let me go to, okay, that's looking fine. One of my assumptions was, I was like, because I did give out this link publicly, and I was like, I wonder if someone could actually go in and change all of the site styles on their end and update. It would end up updating on mine. I didn't really think about that. But let's see if we can figure this out. And really quick, I had to jump back on YouTube and moderate these things really quick. All right. I wish we had Noah in the chat really quick to help me out with this. I'm not gonna lie. But let's see if we can figure this out on our lonesome. This is sometimes what happens when you do live things. There's things you gotta troubleshoot. Let's see, let's go to my pages. This is home. Let's go to about really quick. I'm just gonna check a whole bunch of different things here. Home looks fine. I am going to close all this stuff out. I'm gonna refresh really quick. And sorry for the spam over on YouTube, guys. All right, let's go ahead and publish again. Oops. I really don't know what's going on here. Let me go, let's see what's happening. So the assets are here. But why aren't they showing up? It says the opacity is 0. So let me do this. I'm gonna take off all of these animations really quick, or I'm gonna take off one. Let's go to publish. I wonder if the animations had done something. Huh, okay, so it was, there must have been something that the animations have been doing. All right, let's go ahead and set this. Let's go to containers. Let's go back to animation, float in. Let's go to customize, duration, float in from right. Duration is 1.2. All right, let's just go ahead and say animate one time. Let's go back to publish. All right, so the animations are not working as of right now, and I have not. That is so weird. I'm gonna have to report that to the team. That's not something that should be occurring at all. So I'm just going to set all this stuff to none. Clicking here. All right. Go back to publish. Victor says, you always rock on your music playlist. I'm glad. Thank you, Victor. Vid says the URL address has live test 002. So that's, yes, like this one, this should be the correct website. But I just took off all the animations on everything. They should be showing now. Okay. So for whatever reason, the animations were bugging out and they were unable to actually, let's try another one. I'm just going to try a bounce in. I'm not going to customize it at all. I'm going to see what this looks like. So there must be a bug at the moment with animations. Let's go to view site. So there was no. Let's do it one more time. I'm going to refresh. All right, so this is not even bouncing. Puff in, customize. All right, let's try again. So it was not me, it was the actual feature. I was like, guys, I've done this like 2-3 times before I went live. I was like, I know it's not me. But yeah, for some reason the animations are not actually hitting. So I guess we're gonna have to skip that as of right now. But we have in the last 2 days, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm gonna do one more thing. Because this actually should be animating and it's not. So there must be something that has happened code-wise for this. I'm going to publish one more time. And this is part of the game, ladies and gentlemen. It's constant seeing what worked, what didn't work, debugging. And so something's going on over here with our circle, and that's not being shown either. So I'm going to turn on dev mode one more time. Okay. And it actually looks like, I'm going to open this. Some of the code that we had in here was deleted, which is not the nicest. But I'm going to go ahead and just publish anyway and see what has happened here with our container, if it's populated again. Because I think if we solve that, we'll solve pretty much the rest of everything else. Okay. Container. What happens if I just set this to default? I'm going to start messing around with some of these things to at least just make it show up, so we can figure out where it's working and then move it into, or really, if it's the actual content, really figuring out what's going on. And then we'll just, all right, so it's not showing up at all. Guys, this is the fun times. All right, what happens if we pull out another one? I'm gonna go back to my assets here. I'm gonna go to interior design. We're gonna go ahead and grab one of these circles, and I'm just gonna plop it on and see if it shows up. I'm gonna make it 200 pixels. Shargiel says try a different browser maybe. Vid says, can we load custom SVG animations for non-interactive elements, or are GIFs better supported for that use case? So yes, you can upload custom SVGs, custom SVG animations. I don't believe you can as of yet. For example, I believe what is in the works is things like Lottie animations. I know that is something that is coming. And let's see. For example, one of the things that are not necessarily custom, but what EditorX does have is, let me see if I can find it. We are going to go to decorative, transparent video box, and you can pull in transparent videos. Now you can also do the same thing on your end. You can upload yours, but do I believe that you can upload custom SVG animations? I don't believe so, but I will double check on that for you. And if you join our Discord, I will make sure to, and you add that to our questions channel, I'll get back to you. And by the way, for those of you guys who are wondering what that is, I'm going to pull up the Discord right now. So we have an Ask a Question channel where literally we have tons of hundreds and hundreds of questions that we have answered successfully with video answers. So if you have questions either today or just in the future, highly recommend you join our Discord, link in the description. Ask your question. It will automatically, once you type something, Discord will automatically create a thread. It will ping the EditorX team. As you guys can see, we have the EditorX support team here. We have Robert, and we also have other community leaders like Noah and Victor who are tremendous at both EditorX and the code side, which is Velo. So highly recommend that. It's more than just me. But yeah, I honestly, guys, I'm really stumped as to why this has not worked out here. I'm gonna try to pull this in. I'm just gonna leave that right there. I'm gonna go to publish again. Let's work through this. Because if it's just we have to remake it, then we are going to go ahead and do that. All right, so there's something definitely odd because it's not bringing in either. Okay, all right, so it's brought in this one. It just took a little bit. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and remake it. Sadly. Excuse me. So I'm going to go to my container. I'm just going to set this to don't display. I don't want to 100% delete it. Don't display. We're going to bring this down here. We're going to go back to our assets. We're going to go to our library and we're going to grab our arrow here. I'm going to bring it in the center here using our guides just like this. I'm going to select both holding shift. I have my arrow selected. I'm now going to select the container. I'm going to place in a container here. I'm going to set that container to max content, just like what we've done before. I'm going to remove the minimum width and height. Set to none. And I now want to make sure that I dock or set this position not to default. I don't want it in one of our cell grids. I actually want to set this to pinned. So it is pinned to not our container, but the entire page so it scrolls with us. Alicia says, what kind of file is for vector to upload? So vectors are SVGs. So specifically these content pieces that we have, oops, excuse me. These pieces, let me go to my layers and actually drag. This right here, both of these are SVGs. That's where you basically, regardless of how large or bigger you scale them, they will stay the correct quality. They will not get stretched. All right, so let's go back and fix this. We have default position. We're going to set to pinned. We're going to set this pinned to the page. Perfect. Now they're docked to the left and to the top. We want to dock it to the right and to the bottom. And let's go ahead and before we do that, I want to fix a couple things here. So I want to select, I'm going to actually name these. So I'm going to name this arrow. And we're going to name this circle. Oh, you know what? It's because I already have them named that. That's why. So I'm going to call this arrow 1 or arrow 2 rather. Can I call it please? Arrow 2. Enter. Why can I not? This is all right, circle 2. All right, this is interesting. Maybe will you guys allow me to call it A and we'll call it B? Okay. All right, A, let's see what we've got here. We're gonna keep it with the width at 51 pixels. B, all right, width 200. Okay. Let's go back to the box. Height 200 pixels. Let's do auto. Min width set to none. All right, we're gonna set this right over here. It's now docked to the bottom and to the right. We're gonna try to pull it just a little bit over, a little bit more. We're gonna go into our inspector and I want the same pixels from the top and the bottom. So I'm gonna set this to 30. Set this to 30. So we have the same pixels from the bottom and the right. And now we have it sticky. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Editor X and I want to get infinite rotation. So if you go to Editor X infinite /infinite rotation, which is this effect here, it gives you instructions on how to actually get this effect, which is really easy. All we have to do is step 1, copy this code. Step 2, go back to our website, select the, first off, turn on dev mode, go to dev mode here, make sure you turn it on. Right now it says turn off because I have it turned on. I'm gonna go to B, which is basically our circle. I'm gonna go down here and I'm going to open up basically the code here. I'm going to just delete all of this and paste the code that I have here. The only thing I need to change is this, your element ID. So our element ID is just B or hashtag B, just like this. And we should now get a rotation of 360 at a duration of 40,000, whatever that is. The important thing is that this baby will rotate. All right, so let's go ahead and publish this. I'm gonna give it a second. I'm gonna close out that. We're gonna view the site. All right, so this is still, we'll give it a second. We're gonna refresh again. Still no rotation. All right, let's see what's going on here. Okay, so it rotates on the edit version. Maybe we need to publish one more time, wait a little bit more. Yeah, guys, I am truly stumped. I'm gonna have to take this to the Editor X team because, you know, both the animations, which we clearly have in Showcase on the edit version, and you know, these things should be showing up. And I literally, you know, prepped this entire thing before the live stream to make sure that none of this happened. But good news, the main thing here, which I know a lot of people struggle with, is the actual responsiveness, which was, I think, a big learning for everybody that came for yesterday and today. We learned how to make sure that because this is actually pretty complicated, making sure that this is able to be responsive and keeping everything in the same aspect ratio with one another. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are going to pause there. I am going to, if you want to know more and how really I fix this, please go to the link in the description and check out in Discord, and so you can really see what happened, just in case if this happens to you as well. Sometimes there's little bugs here and there, and you know, we get to fix them. But other than that, thank you guys for hanging out. I'm really pleased for those of you guys who came out and really showed up and, you know, wanted to step your game up in the Editor X and no code realm. And other than that, I hope you guys had an amazing time. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask now. But if you want to ask long, lengthy, and actually have a documented version of your question, definitely join our Discord. And again, last time, please make sure to either, one, introduce yourself here. Two, as you can see, Jasmine already popped in. Hello, Jasmine. Hang out with us here. We have some people trying to orchestrate some London community events, which is awesome, Andre. And also, most importantly, the ask a question. This is where, Alicia, I can already see you ask your question. There's already 7 messages in there trying to help you out. So if you guys have any questions, this is also where I will be putting really what happened today and how we fixed it. So thank you guys so much. We would also love to see if you do attempt this sort of build, share your work with us, either in design feedback, portfolio review, or even really challenge. Any one of these 3, we'd love to see your work. So ladies and gentlemen, that is it. If you've enjoyed today's segment, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you guys in our Discord and really just learning along with you for many more days and months to come. And also, PSA, next week, we are going to be doing the same thing on Monday and Tuesday. We're going to be building another website from scratch. Monday, we're going to be doing the desktop. Tuesday, we're going to be doing the mobile and animations. For real this time. The animations, we're going to make sure work. And don't forget, Thursday, we are doing a live series or a live session on Editor X's 2022 Design Trend Report with Lily Smith. I'm super excited. She is a senior editor for Shaping Design, which is the Editor X blog. We're going to be talking about very amazing 7 cool trends to talk about, including the metaverse, including some digital fashion. I'm really excited about those things in particular, both AR, VR, and just so much more things in the design space. So if you want to catch that live, see some of our hot takes and all that, definitely join on Thursday. It is in our upcoming live streams, so stay tuned. And if you're in our Discord, you're going to get that notification anyway. So Eb Chameleon says, I think your ID is different now, so maybe that didn't rotate. Let's actually check that. Let's see if that's the case. Let's go back. So we do have A and we do have B. Let's go to open. All right, so our rotate element is this. It is B. All right. It rotates here in edit. We're good. But as soon as I publish this baby, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and that's why, you know, I think, you know, we have to get that checked out, because everything static-wise is working, but both the animations and even the code, for whatever reason, is not working. So I have to get that to you guys. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I will see you on Thursday. I'll see you guys in the Discord all day long, but I'll see you on Thursday for our session with Lily. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. We'll talk soon, and yeah, have a great one. Peace.